All right, so if you haven't figured it out, everybody, we're talking about diet theme today. And so I thought for the children's sermon, I'd give my theory on diet. I like the seafood diet. It's my favorite. Old joke. I like to seafood and eat it. All right? And my weakness, I like chips. But if I have to decide which negative food I'm going to eat, chips or sugar, I'm eating sugar every time. Chips just come in a variety of chips, but sugar comes in like a blessing of varieties. And so it's like donuts in the morning, and Little Debbie snack cakes at noon, and ice cream before dinner, and seafood and eating. I mean, there are just so many choices. And here's my theory on why it's not bad for you. You guys are mostly too young to like coffee, though a few of you might like coffee now. Here's my theory on sugar and donuts and coffee. The problem with donuts, some doctors say, is when you eat donuts, it passes junk in your arteries called cholesterol. Go ahead, don't worry about it, just pack it full. And then have really strong caffeinated coffee, which gives you high blood pressure, which will blow the cholesterol out of your arteries. Now, you can argue with me, but I go to my doctor and I look at him, and he looks like he's a guy, he looks like he's like 5 months pregnant, he's got his belly out here, and he's telling me to stay off the donuts and stop drinking so much coffee. And then I look in the mirror. Now, you tell me, is my theory working? I think it works out pretty well. So here's what I got for you guys, children's home-wise. I bought you some donuts. I didn't know that Ron and Judy were going to buy you donuts downstairs, but that's okay because it's diet day. This is good health. You can have a great physique like mine if you help me eat these donuts. All right? Now, how are we going to do this? I have napkins. Here, you hold the napkins. Now, you guys know me pretty well, those of you that hang around here, and so you know that I might not have donuts in here. I might have Brussels sprouts or something like that, because that would be something I would do. Oh, they take these things shut. See, this is exercise. Oh, look, it's not Brussels sprouts. You want one? The answer is yes to this. The answer is always yes to this, all right? So, okay, come here. I'll make it easy for you. I'm going to put these right here. You guys are going to form a single file line, and you're going to eat a donut. You don't have to eat a donut if you don't want to. You'll probably, I don't know, I'll just make you stick around for a couple of hours. I'll just preach for a long time if the donuts are still out there. Right? Come on, come on, come on. Normally when somebody says, come on, you come on. Come on. Look, in a minute I'm going to offer to the adults. We're going to do these things. Time to the napkins. The napkins are back there. Oh, a sprinkling one. Good, good. Excellent. Another sprinkle. There's one more sprinkling one over there. Anybody else? Am I going to have to offer these to adults? Yeah. Yeah? I'm not ready to, because I might think, do you want to go? I make people nervous. Okay, those of you that have already take a bite, don't just sit there and look at your donut. Are they okay? Okay, adults, we're just going to have to, here, high school kids, go pass these out. Get rid of these. Eat them if you want to, pass them out. We have 2 boxes. And this will help because, yeah, just get rid of those things. All right. Adults, I really need you to eat those because I have a bad habit of eating them. And it kind of does go with my theory on diet and exercise. I'm only half kidding about my theory. Look at all these people saying no. Thank you. Thank you. You're my best friend for the day. Yeah, donuts are a good thing. Hey, you know what? You never know what a day's going to hold. Today might be your last day to be around. I hope that's not true, but if it is, at least you go out with a donut in your hand. It's a good thing. Now, can I hear, I always ask my friends when they're eating things and I'm tempted to eat things, I'm always asking them this question. Is it worth it? And I had a guy lie to me the other day. We had teacher in service on Friday, and they had donuts laid out, and my co-teacher is eating this chocolate eclair, and I asked him, I said, Joey, is that worth it? Because it didn't really look worth it. Some donuts are worth it, some just aren't worth it. And I looked, I said, is that worth it? And he said to me, he took one bite, and he goes, first bite wasn't. So I stood there for a few minutes, and once he was done eating half the donut, I noticed he kept eating, and I said, now, is it worth it? And he said, yeah, it's worth it. He was such a liar. So I took one, and I went back to the table for the next session of the in-service, and I'm eating it, and he was right. It was not worth it. But guess what both of us did? We ate it all. It's just, I don't know why we're like that as humans. All right, kiddos, thank you. I just need you to go, if you like your donut. Were they okay? Were they worth it? You're nursing them for a long time. Kiddos, I'm going to talk primarily to you guys, a lot of the adults who listen in today. Do any of you not go to Covington schools? Y'all Covington? She does. Okay, that's fair. She's shorter than Fred Flintstone. All right, she can't ride this, right? All right, I wish so much that I could plan for Covington High School what I get to plan for Dayton Christian. I'm senior class advisor, and at the end of the year, the last 5 days of school, we call them school days, we take them on senior trip. And it's just such a fantastic trip. The way I describe the trip is this. It's the 5 funnest days in a row in your life so far. And we get on a bus, charter bus, and a school bus. I'm not getting on a school bus for this long of a trip. We get on a charter bus that has televisions and DVD players. We get on at midnight, and we watch movies until we're well into Kentucky, and then at some point I fall asleep and get a couple of hours of sleep. And then we wake up in South Carolina at this place called the Wanatah Valley, which is 3,000 acres in the mountains of this retreat center with 3 lodges, and it's got horseback riding, and you know, like military Humvees, you know, Hummers. They have Hummers that are pickup trucks, and they give us rides in them up the side of the mountain, and they try to kill us and throw us out and stuff like that. And it's a great time. I always love Hummer Day. And then they have a lake with boats and fishing and hiking trails and rattlesnakes, and there are bears there if you want to find one. And it's just all kinds of fun. And then one of my favorite things about Wanatah is they have the zip line across the lake. Steel cable, 40 feet above the water over here, 4 feet above the water over here. And you get up to the platform, and you hook into the little harness thing, and you grab onto the 2 straps, and you run off the platform 40 feet above the water. And at some point, you just let go and drop into the lake, and then swim to the side and run back up and do it. You do flips off. I just love the zip line. That's day 1. Day 2, we get on the bus at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we drive a couple of hours. And we show up at the Chattooga River, which is the border between South Carolina and Georgia, and we raft. It's the #2 free-flowing whitewater rafting river in America. It's better than the Colorado River, according to Whitewater Magazine. And we go rafting, and there's this one raft that's absolutely terrifying. It's my favorite. It's called Bull Sluice. Now, a sluice in a river is where the power of the river channels into one little section. And so there's a lot of force in it. And it's a sluice that's a double drop, which means you come scooting across the river, you hit the first 8-foot drop, but don't celebrate yet because you're going to go 10 feet and hit another 8-foot drop, and try to stay in the boat. I mean, it is just absolutely phenomenal. It's like a roller coaster with no tracks and no little bar put in. It is just so cool. That's day 2. Day 3, we go back to Wanatah. Day 4, we go to the Biltmore Estate, which is a 254-room mansion built for George Vanderbilt, his wife, and his 1 child. So that's roughly 80 rooms per person to get lost in. And it's great. We spend half the day there, and then we go down to Gatlinburg, and we spend the next day and a half down at Gatlinburg. It is so much fun. But I got to tell you something. As the guy in charge, I try to have fun going about 16 hours a day on the trip, because it's got to be the 5 funnest days in a row of their life so far. So we're just going about 16 hours a day and trying to catch sleep when you have to, you know. But I'm 52 years old. And I know that one of the parts of the trip on day 2 is when we're going to have to carry the rafts from where they let us off of the bus down the half-mile hill of switchbacks. We've got to carry the rafts and all the equipment down to the river. And I know that I'm not used to walking around with a raft on my head, so I start getting in shape for this trip on March 1st. And I do a lot of things to get in shape for it. I got to cut my weight, I got to stop eating donuts, and I got to start doing some exercise and a lot of cardio and strength training, because I'm going to be going 16 hours a day for 5 days straight, and I just don't do that so well anymore. And you know, getting in shape is tough business. It means, on one hand, I have to say no to some things that I'm like best friends with. Donuts, cookies, ice cream, caffeine, all those things that I really like. And then I have to say yes to some things that I'm barely an acquaintance with. Like, I'll start running again, and I'll try to run 4 days a week, and I'll start doing my strength training. And I don't mind running, and I don't mind some of the strength training, but I hate getting my core in shape. There is not one exercise in core training that I like. I don't like crunches, I don't like sit-ups, I don't like any of that stuff. But I'll force myself to. I'll start doing handstand push-ups against the wall to try to build up my shoulders so I carry that dumb raft down the hill. The fact of the matter is, getting in shape is not easy. It requires a lot of fortitude, a lot of just guts and just pushing through and saying no to some things and saying yes to other things. And I'm not sure I really like all that. And right in the middle of this, because I started this on March 1st, right in the middle of this, the sweet little Girl Scouts are going to come knocking on my door. And they're going to offer me the best kind of temptation to give into on earth. It's not just cookies in general. It's Thin Mints. And it's like, I love Thin Mints. Thin Mints are kind of like, they're just so little. You always eat them in at least multiples of 2, right? You don't eat 1, you eat 2. And then you go back for 2 more, and before you know it, you've eaten the whole sleeve. But I found something out about Thin Mints. If you buy them to support the Girl Scouts and put them in the freezer, they'll last until way into the summer. Well, theoretically they will anyway. I mean, they could last, they won't get bad. And then I found out that if you eat Thin Mints frozen, yeah. Getting in shape, dieting, getting your core together, it's really hard work, especially when there are great temptations in the world, like Girl Scout cookies. Thin Mints is really hard work. I was reading in the book of Proverbs and got to chapter 1 again, because I've read 1 chapter a day for all of January, now we're into February, so I read chapter 1 again. And it occurred to me that God understands something about temptation. God has summed up temptation into one word of why it's so hard to resist. Does anybody know what the English word for why temptation is so hard? For the one English word that sums up why temptation is so hard? Temptation is, what's the English word? Tempting. It's not a hard word. Temptation is tempting. That's the problem. And the thing is, God knew that temptation was going to be tempting. And so he engages us in something. He goes, look, I know this is going to be hard for you. I know temptation is going to be, like for instance, if a Girl Scout, if a cute little Girl Scout with the little pigtails came to my door and knocked on my door and said, hi, would you like to buy a box of Brussels sprouts? I'd call the police and I would have thrown off my property. Brussels sprouts? Would you like some broccoli? I'll send you some cheese sauce. Go away. Get off my property. I don't want you here. But when she offers me a box of cookies and tells me it's going to cost me $4, oh, I have a case. Why? Because temptation is, what's the English word? Tempting. It's tempting. That's what it is. And God knew that. And so, in knowing that, God goes, guess what? I'm going to give you a strategy to not give in to temptation. Now, do you guys have Bibles down here? I want to read to you from Proverbs chapter 1. In Proverbs chapter 1, the strategy is not tough. It's not a tough strategy at all. It is so simple. It's about as tough as temptation is. What's the word tempting? It's about that easy. It's not tough to know what the strategy is. It's tough to apply the strategy. Listen to this. Proverbs chapter 1, beginning in verse 10. He's going to tell us the strategy 3 times. Verse 10, my son, if sinners entice you, do not give in to them. If they say, come along with us, let's lie in wait for somebody's blood. Let's waylay some harmless soul. Let's swallow them alive like the prey and whole like those who go down to the pit. We'll get all sorts of valuable things and fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot with us, and we'll share a common purse. My son, do not go along with them. Do not set foot on their paths, for their feet rush into sin. They are swift to shed blood. I don't know if you've heard the strategy, but temptation is tempting. So God gave us the strategy on how to resist the temptation. 3 times he said the same thing over and over and over again. 3 times. Verse 10 he says, my son, if sinners entice you, when temptation is tempting, strategy, don't give in to them. Oh, okay, Girl Scout, I don't want your cookies, go away. Don't give in to them. Verse 15 he says it twice. My son, do not go along with them. Verse 15 says it again. My son, do not step foot on their paths. The strategy for overcoming temptation is really easy. Don't go there. You want to sum it up in one word? When temptation comes, here's the strategy. Run. Don't assume that you can do all this working out and all this strength training and all this core training and survive because you're so strong. Better strategy is run. Get away from it. Stronger people than you have given in to stronger temptation than you're enduring. The best strategy is don't even put your foot there. Don't even go there. Now, I don't know if you noticed, he then gets an illustration. If the temptation is these guys come to you and say, hey, let's sneak up on somebody and beat the life out of them. Let's shed their blood. Let's steal their wallet. I'm reading that and I'm going, even when I was young, I wasn't really tempted with beating the crap out. Am I allowed to say that? Beating the stuffings out of somebody. That was never a temptation for me. It might be because I was shorter than Fred Flintstone most of my life, and everybody was taller than I was, so I'm not getting in a fight. I don't know why that never appealed to me, but beating the stuffing out of somebody was never one of the temptations for me. So does that mean that this strategy in Proverbs 1 doesn't work for me? No. No, when you're reading the Bible, God said, look, here's the strategy. Temptation is tempting. Therefore, best strategy is get away from it. Run. Don't even put your foot on that path. That's pretty good strategy no matter what the temptation is. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been your age. So and the world has changed so much. I don't know what the temptations are that attack you guys. But it might be things like this. Facebook. I hear young people say, man, I spend like 3 hours a day on Facebook. I say, not tempting at all. Why would you do that? You know? Maybe that's the temptation. Maybe your temptation is settling. Yeah, I could be a better athlete if I worked out, but I'm just kind of content being okay. The temptation of mediocrity. The temptation of just being good enough. It applies to academics too. You could get straight A's, but a B is not a bad grade. But you could get straight A's. Temptation might be mediocrity in the classroom. It might be some of the temptations can be even stronger than that. The more vice-oriented, evil-oriented ones, like, well, some of you guys are pretty young for this, but some of you guys aren't. When partying becomes a negative thing, not just a social event, When, the making out of the party and the drugs and the alcohol, and when it gets really bad, that might be a temptation for you. What's the strategy? Run. Don't even go there. That's what God says. He goes, look, I understand temptation is, what's that English word for it? Tempting. It's not Brussels sprouts here, it's donuts. It's ice cream. It's I want this even though I shouldn't have this. Temptation is tempting. What's your strategy? How are you going to stand up under the temptation? Get stronger? No, you should run. Don't even put your foot there. I read this book several years ago. Great book about how to win over temptation. And in the book, the author of the book said, it's kind of like this. If you go on a diet, and you know that your real weakness in food is chocolate eclairs. Frankly, I don't even know what a chocolate eclair is, but I think it's like a stick donut, right? If that's your temptation, the worst thing you can do is get a box of eclairs and put it in your refrigerator just so you can look at it every once in a while. Because you know what's going to happen. You go out there, you're working on the treadmill, you put in a good 20-minute workout, and then you wonder. I wonder if after a 20-minute workout, I wonder if those eclairs still look like chocolate eclairs. So you go and you look in the refrigerator, well, they still look there. So you go back to a little strength training, then you come back. I wonder if chocolate eclairs still smell like chocolate eclairs. So you go and you pick one up and, they still smell like a chocolate eclair. And as you put it back in, some of the icing got on your finger. It would be wrong to just throw it away. Somebody spent good money on this, so you know what's going to happen. After about the third round of this, you won't have any chocolate eclairs in your refrigerator anymore. They'll be in the bread basket, right? You're going to eat them. There's going to be an empty box in the trash can. Why? Because of the basic principle. Temptation is tempting. It's tempting, and so you have to have a strategy for what to do with the temptation when it becomes tempting. So let's apply the strategy. This is where the rubber meets road, where the tire meets pavement. So if Facebook, 3 hours a day on Facebook is your problem, I got an idea. Do a 30-day fast from Facebook. 30 days without getting on my face. Yeah, 30 days of not finding out that your friend just had lunch. 30 days of not, seeing a picture of somebody that you just saw at school. Go 30 days. If that's really where you're wasting your time, if that's your temptation, take a 30-day fast and see if you can last 30 days. Once you've won the control over it, you might be able to come back and say, I'll give myself 30 minutes a day on Facebook. If it's hanging out with friends that are into the party thing. The worst thing you can do is say, well, I'll go to the party, but I won't do any of the bad stuff. Wrong. Yes, you will. It's just a matter of time. It's just you'll be licking the icing off your finger eventually. You'll be eating the eclair eventually. No, the best strategy, God's strategy is don't even put your foot there. Don't even go there. Here's a funny thing that you guys might not know when you're young. Temptation doesn't stop when you turn 18 or 21 or 24 or 30. It just changes its form. What tempts me doesn't tempt you. What tempts you doesn't tempt me. I really have zero desire. Do you guys stay up way past midnight? You guys stay, I like staying up until 2 a.m. Why? Why would you do that? You're wasting good hours when you could be sleeping. And I don't get that. Here's my temptation. On my day off, I get up at 6. Are you tempted with that? Set an alarm, get up at 6 a.m. Oh, I don't know. You're going, you're weird. Yeah. Because that's the temptation. I get so much done if I get up early. What tempts me does not tempt you. What tempts us it's not the temptation goes away. It just gets more sophisticated. Like this. We get tempted with things like this. I want to see how much debt I can amass in one lifetime. And guess what? Run from that. You know how adults need to run from temptation? When the temptation is amassing debt and buying things you can't afford, I got one simple one. Take your credit card, get it out of your purse or your wallet, run from your credit card. I heard one financial planner say, take your credit card and put it in water, then put the water in the freezer and freeze it into a block of ice. Then if you want to use it, you got to let it defrost, and that's several hours of thinking through, do I really need this? Do I really want this? Do I want to have payments for the next 6 months, 8 years, whatever? And if you're dumb enough to microwave it, it ruins the credit card anyway, so you never can't use it. That's a good strategy. If the temptation is a sophisticated adult temptation, we have to run from temptation too. Because here's the reality. Temptation is, what's the word? Tempting. And don't think you're strong enough to stand up under it, because people who are a lot stronger than you, a lot stronger than me, a lot stronger than any of the adults here, have caved into temptation. So the best strategy is run. Like he said in Proverbs, don't even set your foot on the path. Don't go with them. Just stay away from them. I've got a friend, his temptation, man, he loves cars. He gets a new car every 18 months, and he keeps saying, I don't know how to stop doing this. You know an idea? Stop going to the car lot. It's really that easy. Stop going where they sell new cars, and you won't be buying a new car. I mean, car lot owners don't bring a car to you and say, hey, I got a car in your driveway. Pull in your driveway. You got to go to them. If you want to survive temptation, the good book says, don't even set your foot on the path. I told you at the beginning. Wow, did that tax your brain? Was that really difficult to understand? Temptation is tempting. Best strategy, run. 2 words. Temptation is tempting. Run. Is that hard to understand? Is that hard to apply? Yeah. Really hard to apply. Which is why we have to say, God, look, I don't think I have the strength to stay away from those donuts. I don't think I have strength to stay away from my friends who drag me down. I don't think I have the strength to stay away from the temptation. I don't think I have the strength to stay away from the junk that's on the internet. I got an idea. Stop taking your laptop to your bedroom where you're private. Leave your computer out in the family room where mom's watching. You'll be surprised how strong you get at resisting temptation if your mom's watching. Yeah. Temptation is tempting. Best strategy? Run. That's what the good book says. May God add his blessing to the reading and explanation of his word, and may he give us strength to apply the strategy this week.